the old premises of school are actually outmoded. So much of school is still, even though teachers are changing and moving slowly, is still talking to kids, presenting, telling, explaining to the whole class. And when kids hear that, they just fall asleep. They tune it out. The smart kids at the top, they just say 5 minutes, I go to sleep. It's monotone. What they want to do, what the kids want is the group work, is the project work, is the case work, is getting their opinions heard, is sharing things. They know they're world citizens. They want to affect the world. They are so much more engaged in the world than they ever get credit for in school. And they're so much more involved with each other than they ever get really credit for in school, not just in the negative ways which people associate with Facebook, but in a lot of positive ways as well.
So that we basically have to learn to market the subjects we want kids to be interested in.
Well, in some sense, yes. This idea that learning is painful and arduous and takes time and all this kind of stuff, I think is something we should get away from if we possibly can. So it's not that they shouldn't learn to communicate. It's not that they shouldn't learn to express complex ideas. It's not that they shouldn't learn to persuade. It's not, of course they should still learn all those things. Those are what we call the verbs. The nouns that they use, whether it's the essay or the paper or the ray or whatever it is, or whether it's the video or the podcast or the song, that's what changes. And so that's the way I see the world. On the learning front and the teaching front, I hope, and it may take longer than 10 years or it may take shorter, but I think what we're going to see is the ability for kids to go out and learn pretty much anything they want to know in an engaging, online, communicative with lots of people way. And that hopefully, and a way to insert adults as guides along that position, whether it's formally in school, whether it's out of school, and we get good ways to do that.
Are you suggesting that schools will no longer be the center of education?
They no longer are. They already aren't. Education has bifurcated completely into school, where you get a credential, and it's about the past, and after school, where you really learn interesting stuff on your own. I heard a wonderful story in a bus the other day in New York, where I heard a group of kids, and they had big accents and very strange and didn't sound like people that I would necessarily want to associate with intellectually. And then one of them said, and you know, I'm a really big Civil War buff, and I know everything about the Civil War, and I have read everything. You can ask me any question about the Civil War, and I'll know the answer. And I was blown away. Here's this person, and I'm sure he doesn't share this very often, and I'm sure he doesn't, who just loves the Civil War. And I'm sure he goes online, and he goes into books, and he gets into clubs, and he gets into societies, and he gets into groups, because that's what he is passionate about. And that's what the internet, and that's what technology, books and librarians used to be the way to do that. But now it's much more easy to do it on your own. Kids used to be able to teach themselves only if they had access to the books, or they had access to the library, or they had somebody, some adult around them who was willing to take the time to help them to look into themselves, which is rare outside of the rarefied classes or best schools or something. Now, any kid who's passionate about anything goes online and finds out. People are starting to talk about this now. If we can find ways of helping kids find and follow their passions, and then learn the tools, and to me those tools are knowing the right thing to do, and then knowing how to do it, and then knowing how to do it with other people, and then getting better at doing it continuously and doing it creatively. If they can learn those tools to apply their passions and go as far as they can, then we'll be a whole lot better off than we are with trying to make kids get better and better on these standardized tests.